What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life, and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And in this mass shooting in Allen, Texas, where the gunman, Mauricio Gonzalez, got out the car and started shooting people at a mall, has started to take an interesting turn. Now, it had been several days that this has taken place, and we hadn't seen the face of the shooter yet, which is extremely odd. Usually within 24 hours, you usually get a picture of the man's face. But somebody's doing a real deep dive investigation and asking the questions that I always ask in all of these videos, especially when it comes to mass shooters. Now, I've covered all the mass shooters, whether it be the recent ones like Jesse McFadden, or ones that happened months ago, Robert Crimo, the Uvalde days, Salvador Ramos, Brian Kohlberger. The list goes on and on. I've covered them all at one time or another here recently. And all of those videos, I asked the same question. What in the hell is going on these people's social media? Who were they in contact with? Who are they psych doctors? What medication was they on? Asking in-depth and real questions that we're never getting the answers to. But somebody in Texas is starting to ask the same questions I've been asking for the longest. And that's why I say this is the best news channel on YouTube, and it's not even close. We're going to take a look at two clips today, starting with this one. Inside Edition, Fair Use, Fair Use. But we finally get a look at the face of the Allen, Texas mass shooting. Let's take a look.
We're also learning more about the crazed gunman. This is the moment that cops say Mauricio Garcia, armed with an AR-15 weapon, opened fire at the mall north of Dallas.
Let me say this. I also made the assertion that this man is a Luciferian, and he's into all type of ideologies and religions behind the mask. And I don't be damned when they show this picture. You can see what I'm seeing. Now they're saying that he's a right-winger, which is possible because we know that a lot of Latinos do identify as white, but not all of them are into white supremacy. That's plainly obvious. But I'm a little suspect that he was a right-winger. This looks like a Luciferian agenda he was on. And they were saying he's a right-winger. He's not a family man. He's not a conservative. He's not none of those things. He looks, personally to me, like a homosexual. Let's take a look.
There was a little boy that crawled out from under some of the other victims. I went around, scooped him up, asked him if he was okay. He was just saying, "Mama, mama, mama." And I got him out of the way because I didn't want him to go into some type of shock.
We found this video of the madman wearing a screen.
And this is the face of the man. Mauricio Gonzalez. No, Garcia, I'm sorry. Mauricio Garcia. I keep saying I want to say Gonzalez, but Garcia. And as you can see the picture in the back, black and white. He has a picture of a witch on the wall. He's in all black. This man is a Luciferian, there's no doubt about it. But that's why it's so important when you digging through these people's social media to find out who were they in contact with, because these mass shooters, they're in contact with people on social media. They're in groups. And what is being spewed in these groups? Like, what is a back and forth? Like, what is the agenda in these groups? But for the first time, we're going to see somebody's asking these questions, y'all.
Matt, using a handheld voice changer. The shooter was in the Army in 2008, but was discharged due to mental health concerns. He also posted neo-Nazi material on social media, and there are reports that the shooter was wearing a patch associated with white supremacy.
Like I said, do I believe he was a white supremacist? It's possible, but it's a little iffy to me. I think, like I said before, a lot of these things are orchestrated. That don't mean it's not real. Yes, real people can die, real people are being killed, but there's higher powers that are moving some of this stuff. And we coming up on election time. And as you can see, look how political it got and look how fast it got political. They start saying right-wingers and all these different, talking points that make you think, you have to start asking questions. Was he really a white supremacist, or was he playing white supremacist? That's a hell of a question.
The patch reads RWDS, and it stands for Right Wing Death Squad. And listen to the shooter's bizarre voicemail recording discovered on his cell phone.
Hi, this is Mauricio. If you're the phone company, I already sent the money. If you're my parents, please send money. If you're my financial aid institution, you didn't lend me enough money. If you're a female, don't worry, I have plenty of money.
The shooter was...
This man, to me, from the outside looking in, is clearly a homosexual. Some people say an incel. Part of the MGTOW, men going their own way. But I just feel like this is some kind of other agenda. And yes, he really did harm people, but how they politicize it and how they frame the narrative is always very, very interesting. Because they want to paint it towards right-wingers. And I'm not saying all right-wingers are innocent, but to put that on there without doing the full investigation is, that's disingenuous at best.
Killed by a hero cop who just happened to be at the mall on another call. Why are we seeing the level of violence at this rate?
We have a tremendous amount of divisiveness in the country. Anger, people not getting along with their neighbors. And finally, we have, post-pandemic, a lot more people who are suffering economically and emotionally.
The victims include a security guard described as a beautiful grandson, an engineer from India, and this mom and dad and their youngest son, the lone survivor, their 6-year-old boy.
That's terrible. We're going to take a look at one more clip because I told you guys, somebody's starting to ask the same questions I've been asking for the longest. Let's take a look.
There has still been no official news conference to provide information about the man behind the massacre, Mauricio Garcia.
In fact, his identity was only confirmed by DPS after we and other media reported his name. Other bits of information have come from sources talking, but only on the condition they remain anonymous. Fox News' Sean Rabb has been looking into the investigation of the suspect. Sean's live now with more. Sean, what do you say?
And if they start getting too deep on this investigation, it's going to lead back to people who are going to stop this investigation. Believe you me, I've said this before over and over again. Any threat to the United States of America is being monitored. They have algorithms can damn near figure out who's the next mass shooter by what you type, by what you like, by what you're watching. Because no matter how hard you try, mass shooters, serial killers are going to have certain things in common. I talked about this in a video I made about Brian Kohlberger in The Minority Report, a movie with Tom Cruise, where the algorithms got so strong that it could actually predict future crimes. And yes, we're damn near at that point. They almost know. And within some of these groups and chats, the feds are already in there. That's just like the Gentron kid, the one who did the Buffalo shooting. I made the video where the FBI said they was in his group chat. So them acting like they don't know it's ridiculous. I mean, I understand why, but it doesn't hold up in reality. People know what's going on high within the government. They know these mass shootings are happening, and they know who's basically more likely to do it by what you're watching, what you're liking, what you're posting, what you're commenting on. All that shit, it no longer has to be watched by people. It's watched by algorithms now.
Hey, Steve, I can tell you Mauricio Garcia graduated from Bryan Adams High School in 2008, immediately went into the Army but couldn't make the cut. The DPS, as you said, in charge of this investigation. And part of the reason they're not talking is they don't want to make the same mistakes they made in Uvalde. They are searching, though, to try and determine what drove this man to such a dark place where he could take innocent lives and leave so many people, an entire community, devastated. There certainly are a lot of questions about the shooter to be answered.
There's still an ongoing criminal investigation, even though the individual is deceased.
Security consultant Craig Miller, with years as a deputy chief in Dallas Police, says the 33-year-old Allen Premium Outlet Mall shooter, Mauricio Garcia's background is right now being scrubbed. The Associated.
Well, I'll be a cat's tail under a rocking chair. His background is being scrubbed. By Who? All of these mass shooters, I asked the question, what about his social media? The social media, as soon as these mass shooting happens, are being scrubbed immediately. And the question is, who's scrubbing them? But I'm telling you, it's coming from a lot higher places, all the way up to the top of some of these social media companies. A lot of this shit, these people are in cahoots together. Believe it or not, at the top, whether you work at Google, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, these people are Wiccans. You think I've seen videos of people at these top companies doing pagan rituals outside the job, doing pagan worship. That's a fact.
The press reporting law enforcement sources say they're investigating whether he had interest in white supremacist ideology. Reportedly, he had a patch on his clothing popular with extremist groups.
That they're looking at what took place in this individual's life. They're looking at his phones. They're looking at his social media. Who had he spoken with in the previous 24 or 48 hours? Who had he been in contact with? Were there other people that might possibly have known what was taking place?
Investigators have spoken with his family members at this East Dallas home, though Garcia had most recently been spending time at an
And if you watch my channel, you have to admit I've been asking them same questions for a long time now.
extended stay budget suites hotel. Miller says investigators want to know what caused him to fire an AR-15 style weapon at innocent shoppers, killing 8, wounding 7.
If he had created any sort of manifesto, what sort of information, what was he watching, observing, had he put out on social media, where had his phone been, tracking his phone, the location of that phone, had he been to that address previously, was this something that he planned? There are a lot of things. I think we all want to know the motive in this case, and I think that's really important to everyone. Why did he do that? And I think that this ongoing investigation gives us a lot of clues in that regards.
Mauricio.
Yep. Hey man, like I said before, when you put together these people's social media, all the evidence, it's not that hard to figure out. Believe you me, if you made a threat to a politician's life, you was making certain quotes and certain comments, and you was doing certain, the FBI would literally come knock on your door. It happens all the time. They know already.
Garcia entered the Army in June of 2008 and was terminated 3 months later without completing initial entry training. He was separated from the Army under a section designated physical or mental conditions. He was not awarded a military occupational specialty and no deployments or awards. The man, sources have told us, worked as a security guard.
The Army also looked at his progress in his training and how he was performing and the types of mistakes that he was making, and all that collectively helped to prompt why he was no longer in the military, or why he was removed from the military. And that's important, I think, for his employer, if he was working for a security company or working for a security company, for them to know what was going on in this person's past.
A past that may have played a part in the present pain and suffering of so many. And so right now, ATF, they've been tracing the weapons and the ammunition that Garcia had with him, and if they found others at his family home in East Dallas or that extended stay budget suites hotel, those weapons also being traced. They want to know where he got them, when he got them as well, whether they were purchased legally, recently, whether they were purchased on the streets. And so a lot of questions to be answered. Could have a news conference tomorrow or Thursday, but DPS trying to button up everything before they speak.
All right, and big praise for that responding officer, that patrolman on scene, not a SWAT officer, no wait on the scene, and shut it down. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Okay, sure.
Well, you wanted to say something. Go ahead. We want to hear what you have to say.
I did. I think the officer showed all of the Allen Police Department training. He shot Garcia from a distance in the head because he was wearing, again, this Kevlar vest. And so he had the shot, he made the shot, he used his weapon properly from a distance, and saved, really, a lot of other people, perhaps, from injury or something worse.
I mean, shout out to that officer for taking the young man out. That was a great shot if he made a headshot from a distance. He saved plenty more lives, ain't no doubt about that. He had a high-powered rifle out there. But like I said before, you guys, There's a lot going on. There's so many moving parts at this point that the investigations can't fully happen because so many mass shootings are happening back to back. And the public outrage about the mass shootings is only about gun control. None of it is about solving why these men are doing this. Because for all we know, these people could all have been in communication with one another through blogs or certain websites. We don't know. That's why I'm saying it's important to do full investigations and ask real questions. There's no doubt about it. But I just want to go over that clip right quick and do an update video on that. But this has been Sports Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel. I'm here for the news. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. I just took you over here. They finally asking the right mass shooting questions right. Peace.